Coming up on Quad Cities today at 11, Purdue University is struck with tragedy after a student was allegedly murdered on campus, how the community is coming together. And a controversial justice reform law is set to take effect in Illinois next year, why lawmakers are arguing about who's going to pay for the Safety Act.
And we're starting out with sunshine here this afternoon, but it'll get breezy and cooler as the rest of the day goes on. I'll give you the rest of that information today. Quad Cities Today at 11 starts now.
Live from the KWQC studio, this is Quad Cities Today at 11.
Our top story at 11, an Indiana family is mourning the death of their loved one after he was allegedly killed by his college roommate. I'm Kiel. Morgan OTA is off. The alleged killing happened inside a dorm room at Purdue University. As reporter Camila Fernandez reports, the motive of the killing is still unknown.
This is the man the Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Office says allegedly killed Purdue University student Varun Chetta. The 22-year-old was taken into the Tippecanoe County Jail on Wednesday. Ji-Min Shaw, a cybersecurity student from Seoul, South Korea, will face a murder charge. That is according to the Purdue University Police Department. Police tells us Shaw called 911 at 12:44 a.m. to let them know his roommate was dead. He was taken into custody shortly thereafter.
I feel really shocked, and you never expect it, especially from someone as close as you as your roommate. My roommate, I didn't even know him before I got here. Luckily, he's Latino as well, and we've gotten along so well. According to the university, the incident happened in a room on the first floor of McCutcheon Residence Hall. University officials say several students living in the rooms nearby were relocated during the police investigation. An autopsy found Chetta died of multiple sharp force traumatic injuries. Campus police have not discussed a possible motive for the killing. However, they believed it was unprovoked.
Something very sad and tragic that you never expect to really happen on a campus like this.
Those who knew the victim say he had a bright future. Police say the student was a senior majoring in data science. He also graduated from Park Tudor School in Indianapolis with honors.
Purdue University will be offering crisis support for any students who may need it. A professor has been killed in a shooting at the University of Arizona campus in Tucson. It happened yesterday afternoon. According to police, a 46-year-old former student was inside a campus building despite previously being barred. As officers were heading to the scene, they received another call that someone had been shot and that the suspect had fled the area in a gold van. Police were soon after able to find the suspect, and he's now in custody. A motive has not been released as police continue their investigation. To some local news now, a man in Davenport is sentenced to 50 years in prison in connection to a 2020 murder. 38-year-old Princeton Murphy was handed that sentence. Along with the 50 years, he was also ordered to pay $150,000 in restitution to the heirs of 40-year-old Jabari Sherlock. He died in that shooting. That happened back in early April of 2020. Murphy pleaded guilty to second-degree murder after initially facing a first-degree murder charge. Court documents say Murphy must serve 35 years of the sentence before being eligible for parole. A Bettendorf man has been sentenced to probation in the death of his brother. According to court documents, 50-year-old Todd Lang pleaded guilty to assault with intent following the death of his terminally ill brother Ralph Lang back in November of 2020. Documents show Ralph was given a few days to live before his death. Police officers learned Todd Lang had been alone with his brother right before he died. Witnesses in the home reported Todd was intoxicated and placed his hands over the victim's mouth. He was sentenced to a suspended 2-year prison sentence. He'll now serve 2 years probation. A Rock Island woman has pleaded guilty to fatally stabbing a 14-year-old in December of 2020. Police say 20-year-old Jimena Hines fatally stabbed Lyric Stewart during a fight. Court records show Hines pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in a plea deal. Because of that guilty plea, her sentence will be capped to 30 years in prison. Her sentencing hearing is currently set for January 6th. And this just into the newsroom, an Eldridge man who pleaded guilty to second-degree murder after shooting and killing his wife last year has been sentenced to 50 years in prison. 35-year-old Shane Bostrom must serve 35 years before he is eligible for parole and must pay $150,000 to his wife's estate. On June 10th, 2021, police officers found Jessica Bostrom dead from a gunshot wound in the head. Shane was initially told police that the gun had gone off accidentally while cleaning it. Let's take a look outside now for a check of our first alert forecast. Our Skyview camera shows plenty of sunshine over the QCA after a little bit of fog this morning. First alert meteorologist Alexis Hermanson joins us now in the Weather Center. Had a little rain yesterday, Alexis, but really the last couple of weeks, these farmers have been very lucky for that fall harvest.
They have. Unfortunately, we are going to get a bit of a cold spell here tonight and into Friday. As of right now, you're seeing where the cold front is, showing our regional winds, and they will be the strongest. Farther to the north, those northerly winds coming in anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. And through the rest of this afternoon, that's what we'll have to deal with. We're seeing some heavier cloud cover farther to the north alongside a few sprinkles with that, expecting that to mostly be into eastern counties if it even reaches the ground. But we'll see this cloud cover continue tracking through our area through the rest of the afternoon as that cold front comes along. At least we're in for some mild temperatures near the QC and to the south before that cold front reaches our area. 65 right now in the QC, 65 for Iowa City and Clinton as well. 61 for Kewanee with 65 in Burlington. Into the rest of this afternoon, we'll get back to the low to mid 70s near the QC and to the south before we quickly fall later this afternoon and into the evening through the 60s and eventually making our way into the 50s. But it will be a cooler morning ahead. I'll let you know how cool it'll get and any more rain chances next.
Tonight, Muscatine City Council will vote on a proposed ordinance allowing utility terrain vehicles or UTVs on city streets. UTVs are built more for use as work vehicles and hauling rather than recreational use compared to ATVs. According to Nationwide Insurance, another difference is a UTV has a steering wheel and drives more like a car. Under the proposed ordinance, ATVs will still not be allowed on city streets. The meeting starts at 6 o'clock tonight in Muscatine City Hall Council chambers and is open to the public. Well, the election is a little more than 4 weeks away, and tonight you can tune in to 2 debates, one on each side of the river. In Iowa, Senator Chuck Grassley will debate challenger Michael Franken. The debate starts at 7 and will be aired on Iowa PBS. Across the river in Illinois, you have a chance to watch a debate between Governor J.B. Pritzker and his opponent, State Senator Darren Bailey. That also starts at 7 o'clock. We'll be sure to bring you a recap on both those debates coming up on TV6 News at 10 a little bit later tonight. Meanwhile, this year, a number of women are running for governor in the United States. It comes as women's rights and abortion are two of the biggest issues across the country. 25 women are running for governor across the country, 16 Democrats and 9 Republicans. In 5 states, it's only women on the ballot for the governor's race.
We've seen more and more women do that successfully and more women running for these positions with less of that traditional pushback about whether or not they can do the job.
Meanwhile, the number of women nominees for the Senate and House is lower than what it was in 2020. Some Illinois Republicans are warning that local governments may have to hike taxes in the state to help pay for mandates under the SAFE-T Act. As TV6's Capitol Bureau Chief Mike Militich reports, several counties in the Chicago suburbs are considering whether property taxes should be raised.
The Democratic Majority SAFE-T Act is literally forcing our local government to consider raising property taxes to make our communities less safe.
Representative Keith Wheeler says many local governments rely on cash bail to support circuit clerks and other aspects of the judicial system. But the Coalition to End Cash Bonds is forcibly extracting revenue through a cash bail system that targets low-income people and families living in poverty is not a financially responsible, sustainable, or ethical way to fund government operations. Yet Republicans say the transition will create more burdens for property taxpayers and local government leaders.
In many cases, probation departments will need additional pretrial staff to supervise the increase in those released from jail. There will also be enormous IT needs for monitoring, reporting, and of course, the new equipment.
Representative Chris Boss says these are things lawmakers should have debated about during committee hearings on the SAFE-T Act instead of quickly passing the massive criminal justice reform in the overnight hours. However, the Coalition to End Money Bonds says the SAFE-T Act does not require counties to raise property taxes in order to fund the criminal legal system after eliminating cash bail. The group states that the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts has been working with stakeholders from every branch of government to ensure that counties have the guidance and resources they need to make this transition. Still, House Republican leader Jim Durkin claims Governor J.B. Pritzker has no clue what he signed into law.
The fact is, there's some people that understand what's in this bill. No cash bail is no cash bail. And, you know, there's going to be so many bad actors that are not going to be subject to bond hearings or detention hearings based on the law that he has created.
Meanwhile, the Pritzker administration says the governor has and will continue to work with the General Assembly and local governments to ensure that appropriate resources are allocated to support the reforms passed in the Safety Act.
When asked, a spokesperson from the Pritzker administration responded, saying Republicans are advocating for pretrial defendants to bear the cost of running the criminal justice system, claiming it's unfair and racist. Well, coming up on Quad Cities Today at 11, the United States is closely monitoring North Korea after they test more ballistic missiles. New details after the break.
KWQC TV 6.